Getting a Grammy is a 2020 documentary written, directed, and produced by Derek Milton. It's a story about himself, a Grammy Award winner, although not really. He was involved in Homecoming, Beyoncé's Grammy Award-winning film. However, he was not a recipient of an actual Grammy Award due to his role as a behind-the-scenes videographer. This analysis will look at the style and content of getting a Grammy so that we can better understand and explore the modes of the film. I'll discuss how the film uses the expository mode to portray the subject matter of the documentary, while simultaneously alluding towards a reflexive mode through its content. This allows the film to create a unique style as the subject matter is presented through the use of screenshots, of text messages, phone call recordings, photos, and animations. This film is about the lengths people go to impress their friends and family, utilizing any means necessary. This comedy documentary is the story about Milton's quest to throw a party in his honour, in which he'll parade the Grammy Award he won. However, when he finds out that he won't be able to get his hands on the real Grammy Award, instead of telling the truth, he plans to continue with the party and create a fake Grammy in the hopes that no one will notice. In a documentary, the filmmaker asserts that all the materials, including images and sound, are reliable and truthful. Getting a Grammy is told directly through Milton's view and constructs a narrative of the documentary using primary information such as his text messages and phone calls with others. Through this, the documentary is portrayed using the expository mode. Getting a Grammy utilizes a voiceover narrated by Milton in which he recounts the events leading up to his party, which are visually backed up by screenshots of text messages as well as animations and photos. Through this approach, in portraying the content of the film, the documentary uses elements of the expository mode as it's heavily scripted and has visuals that help to illustrate what is narrated. This mode allows the film to portray the overarching idea of the lengths people go to impress their friends and continue a lie. However, even though the film is presented through the expository mode, the content of the film alludes to the reflexive mode. Reflexive documentaries show the process of the film, usually showing behind-the-scenes footage of the filmmaking process, strengthening the relationship between the filmmaker and their audience. This is not only seen through the documentary's character, Derek Milton, who worked as a behind-the-scenes videographer on the film in which this documentary is about, but also the use of text messages and phone calls give a behind-the-scenes insight into the planning of the party, therefore a behind-the-scenes insight into the making of the film itself. Milton creates an unconventional and unique style using the expository mode and mise-en-scène, cinematography, editing, and sound to tell a story. When all these techniques combine, the style created is reminiscent of a diary or scrapbook, as the visuals evoke the same notion as Milton's voiceover, which sounds like it's been ripped straight out of his journal. The mise-en-scène and cinematography change throughout the film. The intro to the film starts with a montage of shots of the Grammys, taken from the TV stations that air the awards. This little intro sequence is pretty much all the video used within the film. Directly after this sequence, we see the style of a visual scrapbook as Milton uses screenshots of his text messages and photos of himself to convey the story. Animations are also used throughout to further this scrapbook style, as animation serves to create a rupture between the signifier and the signified. The film's animation depicts the triumph, planning, and possible downfall of his plan to throw this party. The first animation depicting Milton holding a Grammy comes after he receives messages from his friends congratulating him. The second, his holding drinks and wearing a party hat, which comes halfway through the film. And the final one appears just before the climax of the film, being an animation of his friends finding out that he doesn't have a real Grammy. All these animations are reminiscent of a doodle you'd see in a diary, heightening this scrapbook style. The sound and editing pull all these elements together to create the final form of the film. The sound is made up of Milton's narration of his text messages and events with a few recorded phone calls present. The music starts light-hearted but builds in intensity as challenges fall in his way. However, as he pulls off his plan, the music turns into an inspiring, glorious melody. The sound, along with the editing of the visuals, interplay to create a cohesive tale of a man seeking to impress his friends. Overall, the style, content, and modes relationship come together to heighten the core theme of the documentary. When all these elements combine, Milton was able to create a film which is a massive boast, as he not only shows off how he played a bit part role in a Grammy Award-winning film, but the documentary simultaneously brags about how he tricked his friends to come to a bogus party. Therefore, the content of the film, paired with the expository mode and scrapbook-like style used by Milton, manages to further the core idea of the lengths one will go through to impress his peers.